Good afternoon, betters. I'm Devin Walker.
And I'm Ashley Pren.
And you are listening to the Betsies pod. It's an excellent NFL Week 4 on the horizon. But first, let's recap Week 3. The Eagles, the Dolphins, the Niners remain undefeated. Taylor Swift makes her NFL debut, and I lose all my bets again. But I will not crumble. I will bounce back like a phoenix from the ashes right now on the Betsies pod. And we're back like we never left. Early morning over there for you, Ashley. Thanks for joining us. 7:44 on the West Coast. We haven't seen us in the daytime really before, so this should be an interesting episode. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Little tired, but it's all good. Last week we saw it go from afternoon to the nighttime, so this is a nice change up. But 7 a.m. football talk is never a bad thing.
The thing is, we started coming up with some new ideas on how we can switch around the winning that's not been going on in this podcast. And we figured, you want to know what? Let's start earlier in the day, right? Maybe a little bit more fresh, maybe less under the influence. If you listen to the last episode, that was evident from your boy here. So I can say that this is normal coffee in this mug, and I am ready to turn things around. And it's going to start tonight. But before we get into things that are going to happen, let's get into things that did happen. You've got a great point here. It's about the Wilsons, and I'm all ears.
Yeah, it really is. Which team is going to blow up first? I mean, I think that the Broncos both not off to a great start. The difference from the Broncos to the Jets, though, I will say, and let's call a spade, neither team is doing well right now. Both teams are in the hot seat. We're going to look at some roster changes, some management changes down the line if things keep going the way that they're going. Something interesting about Russell Wilson that I will say is that his stat lines right now are looking very similar to Patrick Mahomes. He's actually not doing bad as a quarterback statistically, but he's not winning games. The defense sucks. He looks defeated. He also doesn't necessarily look like he has won the team over. Apparently,
it looks like he has not won the team over.
No. And apparently him and Sean Payton are making strides in their relationship. But if I'm leadership, if I'm a Broncos fan, if I'm in the Broncos sphere at all, I'm taking Sean Payton over Russell Wilson. I don't know that it's going to come down to who's going to stay and who's going to go between the two of them. But Sean Payton is pissed. I mean, he got real testy with some reporters. Yeah, so it's not really looking good for either quarterback right now. Zach Wilson looks like garbage. Russell Wilson looks defeated. Both quarterbacks and both teams are having a very difficult time. Something that I think is interesting about Russell Wilson is that statistically, he actually isn't doing terrible as a quarterback. Statistically, he is racking up pretty similarly to Patrick Mahomes. However, he's not winning games. He hasn't won the team over. The defense sucks. And Sean Payton is pissed. From what I hear, him and Sean Payton are developing a relationship, but I don't know how far that's going to go. If I'm in the Broncos organization, I'm trusting Payton over Wilson at this point. And Zach Wilson on the Jets, he just has to be benched. It's god-awful.
This is what I don't understand about the Jets. You watched him play, like a lot. You knew that Aaron Rodgers was an older quarterback, that there was a chance he wasn't going to make it through the whole season. How are you just now addressing the backup quarterback issue when he's thrown into the fire immediately? It is clear that he sucks. I mean, he is bad. He's got quick feet. He's got arm strength. His decision-making is atrocious. And you go right down the line, talk about losing a locker room. It's gone. It's blatantly obvious. So at what point in their camp did they watch this kid and say, okay, here's a viable option at backup? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. But I agree, they're both bad, and I don't know which one's going to implode first. The Jets seem to be the better team, but Sean Payton's the better coach.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting. Battle of the Wilsons, and who's going to get benched first seems to be a hot topic.
Yeah, which leads me to my next point. Are the Broncos that bad, or are the Dolphins that good? The scary thing about that game is that they didn't have Waddle, and they still haven't played with Jalen Ramsey yet, who's been nursing an injury. I genuinely think the Broncos are that bad, but the Dolphins are a scary team. Scary team.
I disagree. I think they come back to earth this week. I am peppering the Bills.
Interesting.
I think that, to answer your question, the Broncos are that bad. 70 points. I don't care how good you are. 70 points. That's too. I mean, these were 3 or 4 yard screens against a typical defense that were getting broke for 80-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 players combined for 8 touchdowns. That's insane. 2 guys both had 4 tutties. That just means you're bad at tackling. That means you're bad at pursuing the ball. That means you're bad at coverage. That means you're bad across the board. And at some point, it means you gave up, and the other team kept pouring it on. So I do believe the Broncos are that bad, and I respect the Dolphins, but I think they are in for a good old-fashioned Buffalo ass whooping this weekend in Buffalo. Yeah. And they're I think the narrative next week will be exactly this question, but posed in a different way. Are the Dolphins fool's gold, essentially, is my prediction on that. Now, I could be wrong, as I was every single time I said anything last week. So my credibility is at an all-time low, but I am going for that. And I guess that's just where I am on the Dolphins.
I don't disagree. I think that this game will be telling against the Bills. I also think it illustrates a larger picture of what's going on with week 4, which is that we have a lot of really good matchups. I think it's going to really point to where the strong teams actually are rather than who's been winning. A lot of good matchups. I mean, we've got the NFC South Classic. We've got the Bucs and the Saints. Dolphins and Bills will be telling of where the Dolphins are at. I do want to point out, though, that the Dolphins also clapped the Chargers in week 1, and they were a healthy team at that point. So then again, their coaching staff is also probably one that's not going to be around next year. So
no, the Chargers, I don't think, are a team that we're going to base anybody's success off of.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of teams that were very impressive, and we've got some divisional shit fights here this week. Another one that comes to mind is Commanders and Eagles, but we'll get to that later on. You've got a note here about Joe Burrow. Let's dive into that.
Okay, well, I will say I am happy that they won, so I didn't have to wear my Big Dick Joe shirt on air.
That's fair.
But we might want to throw that into the ring for another taping. But yeah, he looks lazy. I thought maybe, he just had a slow start. This would be his game. And even his post-game interview, he said something along the lines of, we got to win. It wasn't perfect, but no mistakes or something like that.
Yeah, he looked disengaged. He looked disengaged.
He looked disengaged. And with Joe, it's hard to tell because sometimes his laser focus, even when he's not having success, is him just trying to hone in. Something's different this year. I'm not getting that from Joe Burrow. And I picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. So I might be falling back on that. I'm not
based off of an astrological sign, though, I do believe. I think that was a fair part of it. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Burrow's something's going on. I mean, we said it last week. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, pun intended. But he's got a broken dick. Looks like he's got low test. So they're going to want to give him something. We don't know what it is exactly, but he just looks flat, to be honest. So did the Jags. So did the Jags. We're going to stay in the AFC. We're going to talk about the Jags. We're going to talk about Mike Tomlin in primetime here real quick. But we'll start with the Jags. They ruined my week. They lost me thousands of dollars. And I chased, which is one of my big rules, which is not to chase. And I chased and I chased and I chased. But this was something that I'm going to take notes on. I'm gonna take a lesson, not a loss, although you shouldn't tell that to my bank account. And I am going to absolutely pound the Pittsburgh Steelers Texans under. Not because the Jags are bad, but because the way that the Texans scored those points was fucking ridiculous. So I think against a better defense in Pittsburgh, they're going to have a really, really hard time scoring points. You loved the Steelers in prime time. You loved what they did. They beat the brakes off my Raiders. Let's talk about one thing real quick. I mean, it's obvious not to bet against Tomlin in prime time. Why the fuck, down 8, do you kick a field goal with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left?
Yeah, that was bad. And he tried to defend it. He tried to defend it post game too. And
by saying what?
He was like, what was it that he said? He was like, yeah, we needed the touchdown anyways. So we figured we'd just kick the field goal because even if we got the touchdown, we would still need more points. It was something really run around and stupid.
Of course you need more points. You need 8 points. You need a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie the fucking game, you moron.
Yeah. And then he went on to say it's not about not trusting our team or not trusting our quarterback. Like it was just the smarter coaching move.
Well, the analytics point directly in the opposite direction because he never got the ball back. So it wasn't too smart. At least if you go down swinging, you've still got 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning to get the ball back.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was ass backwards. Plus field position, right? They would have been way more likely to punt and you get another chance at doing the same thing. The whole thing was backwards. The coaching this year has looked suspicious on a lot of different teams. And we may be getting to a point where the coaching position is even more valuable than it ever has been because the athletes are generally comparable. The skill position guys are generally comparable. Quarterback still is going to elevate your team more than anything else. But the defenses on these teams are all absolutely stacked. Everybody's got an edge rusher. Everyone's got a lockdown corner. Everybody's got like a ball hunting linebacker. So at what point is it going to come down on these coaches for making these bonehead moves? And I think this week it was really telling, as we saw in the Vikings and Chargers game. The Vikings just awful coaching in a game that they should have won. And neither team looks good.
I feel really bad for it. And this comes with an asterisk, but I feel really bad for Kirk Cousins because which sounds ridiculous to say, but I do think that kind of like Russell Wilson, but a little different. He isn't putting up bad stats. I mean, he's doing his job, all things considered. And they came off all this hype last year. He took all those endorsements in the offseason, which we know is the kiss of death. But, the man does not have many years, if any, left. I mean, he's hobbling off after almost every play. He's getting up there in age. And the Vikings came so close to some sort of success last year, blew it against Daniel Jones and the Giants. And now they're 0-3 to start. And that's just, I want better for my boy Kirk. And he's not getting it right now.
No, he's not getting it. I will say I see the exact same team that I saw last year. They are the same Vikings team to me. Yeah. They are just losing the close games that they won last year.
That's actually an interesting point. That's an interesting take because a lot of their games last year came down to 2 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Or giant comebacks, or there was a bunch of different variables that had them at 12-3, and I was like, this is the worst 12-3 football team I've ever seen in my life. They're abysmal. Now that doesn't mean that they're going to go 3-12. I think the coin probably evens itself out with a large enough sample size. So I bet we start to see them win some close games, and they'll be in the picture down the stretch like they always are. Yeah. And I agree that Kirk Cousins is playing. I mean, if you've got him on your fantasy team, you're not benching him. That's your guy.
Yeah.
Now, someone that isn't my guy, and we talked about them a little bit, is Andy Dick in the Jaguars. And they have made their way onto my do not bet list. So the updated do not bet list for the Betsies pod for Didi is the Panthers, the Giants, and the Jets haven't made their way off the list yet. The Bears, the Browns, and the Jags. And I know you like the Browns. You cleaned up on the Browns, but they're still on my do not bet list because they fucked me in week 2. And I don't have a short memory, right? Just not.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that for me. But the Jags made their list made their way onto my do not bet list for week 3, and I will not be touching them, even though I'll have an itchy trigger finger at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because the boys are going across the pond. And England, you got yourself a doozy. Falcons, Jags, okay? I don't know how many Falcons or Jags fans there are over in England, but apparently we are fixing to find out. That's going to be an interesting one. Ritter versus Andy Dick.
Ritter versus Andy Dick.
Yeah, the sidelines, the headlines write themselves. Well, this wouldn't be the Betsies podcast if we didn't talk about the NFL headline story of the week. That's right. I'm talking about T Swift. Ashley, you've got some insider information, and I've got a hot take on a very jealous younger brother. Ashley, spill the tea, Swift.
The T Swift report. Welcome to the new NFL girlies. We'll take care of you here. I've got a lot of thoughts on this, and I'll try to keep it brief. But if you're like me, a 30-something-year-old woman, you grew up with Taylor Swift, and you realized the power of her presence this summer when she was selling out all these NFL stadiums and having 80K plus people just showing up in the parking lot to listen to her concert, even if you couldn't see. I think the NFL saw that. I think this is calculated because you can't play on Tuesdays. You can't play on Wednesdays. We've taken the players as far as they can go. How else can we magnify this NFL football conglomerate? And it's getting the girlies involved. It's getting the girls involved. So I think that this is calculated by the NFL. And the reason that I say that is because another headline that broke last night, Taylor Swift going to be at the Jets-Chiefs game. Why the fuck is that a headline? I don't care who you are. Someone going to a football game should not be a headline unless there is an ulterior motive. With that being said,
tinfoil hat it.
Yeah. But all of that aside, I do have insider knowledge straight from the Chiefs locker room that they're the real deal, that they were making out. They had their tongues down each other's throats. They were all over each other.
In the locker room?
In the locker room. Travis was smitten like a little kitten. I heard that even if this is calculated, they're having a damn good time doing it. So
locker room makeout. Breaking news.
Breaking news. So to quote Taylor Swift, call it what you want it, but this looks like it might be legit.
Wow. Is that the lyric? Is that a lyric?
Yeah.
Okay, fire. Yeah. I'm more of a she wears short skirts, whatever it is. It's more my vibe. There's an absolute rip on Micah Parsons' podcast because he did the exact same thing. Shout out Micah. Yeah, I'm less concerned with the makeout and more concerned with how jealous Jackson Mahomes is, because he is watching this and just thinking to himself, wow, I really fucked up. I could have been up in the box with T Swift, and instead I'm wherever I am, literally banned from going to the events because I acted out, and I'm on punishment. I'm in timeout. That's a tough timeout. We've all been put in timeout. We've all missed, block time or recess or whatever it is that were penalized from. A timeout to not watch your brother play NFL football with Taylor Swift that's a big timeout. That's a tough one, and that one's going to sting, and I hope he learns his lesson. Moving on. Thanks, Taylor, for giving us your all, the other day and really rooting for the Chiefs in a blowout victory. And I expect there will be another one. So I don't think this storyline's going anywhere. We will continue to check back in. Who knows? Maybe a locker room handy is up next. I'm not sure. I don't know. Seems like a natural progression. Would a cup get in the way? Tough to tell. But I guess
Time
we're
will
fixing.
tell.
Yeah,
Time will tell.
I guess we're fixing to find out. We need to recap our bets. Mine will be quick. I lost them all. We don't need to spend too much time on this. I sucked at gambling last week, and if you tailed me, you lost a bunch of money. And I apologize. I'll be better. I'll be better this week. I love the slate. I'm obsessed with the slate, and I'm going to fatten your pockets. Okay, so my apologies for last week. I go over 2 weeks in a row, but it only takes one. It only takes a spark. And like I said in the show's open, when I get that spark and that fire erupts, I will rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Okay, and like the tooth fairy. Okay, because you're gonna wake up, and underneath your pillow is going to be a wad of cash if you tail me this week. Ashley, let's recap your bets because you actually did pretty well.
I got close. So something that we introduced a little bit last week, especially with some of my crazy parlays, the option to add one on that may or may not hit. So let's look at my first tracked bet, which was Brock Purdy, 151 passing yards over, Debo anytime touchdown, San Fran money line, and the total over. Now, I mentioned last week you could sprinkle the total over on as an add-on. And if you did, you just missed by 3 points. But if you didn't, if you were listening and you were like, you know what, I'm not sold on this chick yet, I don't know, but the first 3 pieces of this parlay look good. Maybe I'll hammer that in. You won because Brock threw way over. Debo got that anytime. He finally got a TD, and San Francisco blew the Giants out. With the total over, that was plus 575. Without it, I think it was in the 400s. So you still did pretty well. The Falcons, Lions over. I think everyone got duped by this game. That really pissed me off.
Big stinker, Ritter. That's what crushed my teaser.
Yeah. That was a trap game for both teams, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was anyone. If you're out there and you took the under for this game, congratulations, because I wouldn't have done it. I don't think most people did. That didn't hit. However, Dolphins money line blew it out by 50 points.
This one is the one that really stings, though, because this next one is the one that fucked us both.
Yep.
The Saints are up 17-0 going into the fourth, right? At this point, the Bills look good. The Lions are in control. The Seahawks are heavy in control. I don't know about you, but I'm counting my cash. I'm sitting there saying, okay, no Derek Carr, no problem. 17-0. This is a win. We should be fine.
Yeah.
They lose 18-17.
And I will say, they put my
all-time bad beat.
They put my boy Jameis in. I was so happy to see him play.
Kiss of death.
He looks comfortable. He got them to the goal line for the field goal. Missed. Jordan Love got to hand it to him, brought it back, but that was a comfortable lead. I was counting the cash, and I hate that the loss was on the backs of my boy Jameis Winston, who may start again this week. If he does, it's a big matchup. We'll get to that later, but
yeah, it's not a great look to come into a game up 17 and lose. So I don't love that for the Saints. That was a big game. That's going to be one of the games that I look back on at the end of the year. Cause now mind you, I've got the Saints over and the Saints to win the division. Yeah. The Saints over total wins and the Saints to win the division. So that's going to be one, if it comes down to it, where that's going to really hurt. Because an undefeated start through 3 weeks going into a game that you should probably win this week as well.
Yeah.
That one's going to sting. Now, there's a bounce back position. They are favored again. 4-0 start is still good. But talking about this week, let's get right into it. Enough with the past, on to the future. We're moving forward, onward and upward, and we're about to make you some loot. Because it's time for everyone's favorite segment. That's right. I'm talking about First and Prep. It's First and Pren. It's the segment where each of us have 4 downs, 4 hot takes or plays, okay? And they may increase in necessity as we move down the list, right? First down, you're feeling froggy. Go ahead, throw a fade down the sideline. Maybe it hits, maybe it doesn't. Second down, you're going to need some yards, a little bit more conservative. Third down, you're in your bag. You need a first down. Didn't get it. Fourth down, you're probably going to just QB sneak it with Jalen Hurts, and we're going to go ahead and have a guarantee in that slot.
Jalen Hurts, not Tom Brady, but
well, at this point, I can't argue it. I've gone back; it's a borderline unstoppable scenario. So let's start with the person this segment was named after, Ashley. It's first down. Who do you got?
All right, so this is something where I know you and I disagree on. For our pregame, talked about it a little bit. I do not think the Dolphins are slowing down anytime soon. I've got the Dolphins money line against the Bills, and I'm going to tell you why. When I started this segment, first episode off the bat, I said this is going to be the Bills' worst season in 3 years. They're doing well. I need to see them do excellent in front of these big matchups. This is going to be a shootout. I'm talking the over. I'm talking the money line for the Dolphins. I think they're going to come out on top. I'm interested to see if we're going to get Waddle back. And I think Jalen Ramsey is supposed to return either week 4 or week 5. So I haven't seen anything on it yet. Maybe not. I could be wrong. But if they decide to bring both of them out, that's a tough team to beat.
That's interesting. I do disagree, but I'll have my turn. I'll have my turn on the mic, and I will say what I think. Turns out you didn't get a first down. It's second down. It's 2nd and 7. Okay.
2nd and 7. It's 2nd and 7. We got the classic NFC South showdown. It's been a showdown for the last 5 years because we had Tom against Drew. We had Tom against Trevor Seaman, maybe Jameis sometimes, maybe Andy Dalton. I'm talking the Bucks and the Saints. Is it in New Orleans? No, it's in Tampa. Is it?
No, it's in New Orleans.
Okay, sorry. You can scrap that.
It's Bucks Saints in the Superdome.
Bucks Saints Superdome. And a potential revenge game for Jameis because
sounds like a porn. Bucks Saints Superdome.
Superdome. Revenge game.
Yeah, revenge game.
Here's why I like this game. I do see this. I do see the underhitting in this game. I like this matchup because it is a classic. It's been a classic for the last 5 years. We also are going to potentially see who's going to win the NFC South. Like this could be a very telling game and another matchup that we see in a couple weeks. I am someone, if you haven't picked up on this already, maybe not in the bets, but I'm someone that's very superstitious. And we all know how much I love my boy Jameis. If he is starting this game, last year he got a season, or maybe it was 2 years ago, season-ending injury during his revenge moment against the Bucks. And I love my boy, but he is injury prone.
Oh,
so
God. They're going to be down third string.
I hope not.
That's me knocking on wood.
I thought someone was knocking on your door.
No, that's me unjinxing you, jinxing Jameis.
Okay, knocking on it again. Someone's got to say it. Sometimes if you put these things out in the universe, they'll undo themselves. But
no one's ever. That's not a thing.
You know, it's like when you have a bad dream.
That is not a thing.
It's like when you have a bad dream, you got to say it out loud or else the bad dream comes true.
No, you are making this up. That is not a thing. You don't speak things into existence so they don't exist. That's never been a thing. That's not how it works. You
point out the possibilities so that everything's on the table.
Just cover all bases. Yeah. That's like what my dad used to do. Anytime I'd leave the house, he'd be like, I got a bad feeling about tonight. And like once he was right. And he's like, I told you. I'm like, dude, you're 1 for fucking 700. Anyways, Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. So I'm confused about second down though. Are you taking the Bucks or are you taking the Saints?
I'm taking the Saints. I'm going against my friends. I'm taking the Saints. I'm taking the Saints. I want it for Jameis. You know, I do. I'm looking at this year as a Buccaneers fan, as a transitioning year. We don't know who's going to be our quarterback next year. Mike Evans is probably out the door. I think we need to take the time, appreciate the luck that we had, and seriously rebuild. And I, as much as I would love to see the Bucks win, I think I want it for Jameis a little bit more. So,
well,
I'm taking
you mentioned the
under.
yeah, the Saints and the under. Okay. You mentioned the
Yeah.
historic rivalry of the last 5 years of the Bucks Saints, and you want to know what? I've been thinking about it, and I don't know two guys that could fill the shoes better for Tom Brady and Drew Brees than Jameis Winston and Baker Mayfield.
And Baker
It
Mayfield.
is, yep, and then Baker in the butts. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It's a true clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
And I'm also on the Saints. I don't love the line at 3.5, but I just don't think the Bucks can score. Baker started. I texted my friend in the first quarter of that game. I said, "Oh, Baker pick city, here it comes." He started doing the Baker thing again, where it's like you play pickup basketball with a guy who's a bad shooter, and he hits his first three, and you know for the rest. There was a kid in our that I grew up with named Chris Jones. If Chris Jones hit his first fucking three, you're not seeing the ball for the rest of the game, and he is going over. He'll go 1 for 15 for the rest of the pickup game, and you lose, 11-2. But that is Baker Mayfield right now. He made some good throws. He scrambled a little bit. Get ready. Here it comes. He's going to start throwing picks, strip sack fumbles. This will be the Baker Mayfield that we've all come to know and love. And it's going to show, it's going to rear its ugly face this weekend. I guarantee it. You just got strip sack. It was a fumble, but you did recover. It's 3rd and long, and you need yardage. Okay, so it's 3rd down. It's 1st and pren. Who you got?
I'm going with the Pats. I love seeing the Cowboys lose. I think they are so annoying as a team. I love seeing their fans get their hopes up just to be brought back down. And we had Mac. It wasn't a pretty win, but he's kicking kids in the nuts on the sidelines. He's getting fired up. Bill's all up in arms. I would love to see the Cowboys go down at the Pats' hand. I'm taking the Pats money line.
Pats money line. I like it a lot, but we are in a hurry up offense, and it's 4th down. You need a 1st down. This bet has to cash. Who you got?
This bet has to cash, and Taylor's going to cash too. Chiefs are going to steamroll the Jets. This is going to be the game. This is going to be the game that they decide Wilson needs to be benched because the coach is now losing the team. Before it was like, oh, Zach's our guy. And then it's like, maybe he's not. And now the defense is like, fuck this dude, I'm out.
Okay, well that's your 4th down, which is that the Chiefs just absolutely steamroll the Jets. I don't think anyone's going to try to, pull you off that wagon. Seems like kind of writing's already on the wall, especially with Swifty in the building. Now, I just got the ball. Okay. It's 1st down. I'm doubling down on a pick that I had earlier in the year. The Eagles look outstanding. If you can get futures odds on the Eagles right now to win the Super Bowl, I think you take it. I see a team possessed. I see a team with a very shaky division. After we watch what happened to the Cowboys, we know the Giants suck, and I'm not trusting essentially a rookie quarterback down the stretch in Washington. So division winner, probably pretty easy. The rest of the NFC looks beatable with the exception of the 49ers, who are a very well-rounded team. But if you get through the NFC, I think you win the Super Bowl. So it's Eagles Super Bowl on 1st down for me. I'm in a hurry-up offense. I disagree with your 1st down take because on 2nd down, I'm taking the Bills and I'm laying the points. -2.5 doesn't scare me. The Dolphins will come back down to earth. Their nerdy little head coach, although I would like to party with him, and I know for sure that guy's on a lot of amphetamines. there's a high milligram Adderall prescription happening there. He was the ball boy. He looks like a ball boy. It looks like a Disney movie where they were like, I don't know who's going to coach the team. Motherfucking ball boy will do it. So he like gets in there and, all of a sudden he's pretty good. But I think the Bills are better than people give him credit for. I believe that Josh Allen is one of those guys that can get himself fired up in these situations, and you're going to see him have a hell of a game. I'm going to take him on his over rush yards. I'm going to take him on his over pass yards. I do believe it'll be a shootout, but I think the Bills get the better of him. That would be it. So for the record, I just got another first down, but for the sake of first and pren, it's third down because that bet's happening.
We'll see. One of us will win. It can't be both. One of us will win.
We're guaranteed a winner here in the Betsies pod.
Yeah.
This brings me now. I've talked about over rushing yards and over passing yards for Allen in that game. I'm going to talk about over receiving yards for Devontae Adams for the rest of the year. I am going to pepper him to be the receiver in the game with the most yards moving forward all year. He showed me when you start to see that connection between Jimmy G and one of the best wide receivers to do it, and he starts getting catches. I don't necessarily care about the yards. The yards will come. When he starts getting high rep catches, it means he's unguardable. And they know they have to target him. And Pittsburgh is outstanding in the secondary, and they get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and he still had that style game. He's going to start eating teams alive. We are about to see a Devontae Adams resurgence like you read about. Mark my words, Devontae Adams over receiving yards for the rest of the year. And I'm not out on my Raiders yet. Pittsburgh, very solid team. I think they bounce back. I don't love the Chargers. You're going to give me 5 points. I'm going to take it, but I'm also going to take the Raiders money line. That's not in this. I'm just taking Devontae Adams on third down, but it is a hurry-up offense. I do need a win right now. I just talked about this team. It's fourth down. Steelers money line. Steelers money line. Lightning will not strike in the same place twice. Sorry, Texans. You're dog shit. Fool's gold all the way. This line is grossly inflated to the Texans at home. This should be a blowout. The Steelers money line is absolutely free, and the Texans team total under 20.5 is absolutely free. I'll be pounding both of these. I'll be putting together. It's just an absolute. I love this bet. If I was at Cold Stone Creamery and I could get a size of this bet, it would be the gotta have it size. That's how much I like it. It's Steelers, and it's the under for the Texans team total at 20.5. That's first and pren, which means we need to get on to week 2 tracked bets, because we talk all this shit in first and pren, but it's time to put our money where our mouth is. And I think it's time for us to do a little ping pong too. I've said enough here. We've got some pretty ridiculous ones here. Ashley, let's do this. Let's start with the lowest odds, and we'll go in ascending order. You lead us off, and we'll ping pong back and forth.
All right. Okay. I like that. And we've got something for everyone. I'm looking at this sheet for the first time, and we've got something for everyone. A lot of good matchups this week. I think both of us are kind of picking and choosing from across the board and making something out of nothing. So something out of nothing is there's going to be a lot of close games, in my opinion. I think we're going to see a lot of players come into their own. To your point with Devontae Adams, he hit his line last week well before the first quarter was even over. So,
he's back. He's officially back. It takes a second, and we saw this with him and Derek Carr too. It took a few games to get their rhythm back, to get their understanding of each other, for him to understand the ball and that the quarterback is throwing, because Rodgers throws like such a unique ball that's difficult to, then change. And I believe that Jimmy G throws a more similar ball to Aaron Rodgers. He's really good at the back shoulder, and he doesn't fall in love with a specific route. So you're going to start to see him take the top off the defense, as we saw early in that first quarter. And that we're going to see some multi-touchdown games from Devontae. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I like that. I like that take. I might trail you on it. I might tail you on it. It's early here still.
No one knows, to be fair. No one knows if it's trail or tail.
It's whatever you want it. But let's get into it. Let's get into best bets week 4. So my first one, I'm playing it a little safe. I do think it's going to hit though. Falcons to cover the spread, and I'm taking the game total over for plus 264.
You think there's going to be a shootout in England between the Falcons and the Jags? The Falcons that scored 6 points, I believe, against the Lions. Okay.
Yep. I'll tell you why. Because
we need a good product in England, because that's the only reason I can think of.
As someone that was interviewing to be on the marketing team for the international presence for the NFL over there, I can tell you they are all balls to the wall for this. I think that it makes for good football when there's a shootout. I'm not saying that they're back here, writing the script. I'm not saying that they're not. But the Falcons, up until last week, there was a reason that I think both of us were so confident in that Falcons Detroit over. And I think that last week was a trap game. I do think that Trevor Lawrence needs a little bit of a redemption. I think that Falcons team needs a little bit of a confidence boost. They're going to be out of their element a little bit, but I'm putting that out of elementness on the defense.
My only concern there is Ritter. He's not the guy I thought he was. So if he can turn it around and maybe make some plays with his legs, open things up down the field, then over should be fine. If that doesn't happen and they get a shitty fucking 45-degree rainy day like it is all the time in England, eat shit, England. We beat your ass once and we'll do it again. Live free or die, baby. Fuck you, Kyle. Okay, so I've got a parlay. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. And I have a parlay, and it's plus 425. And it's tonight. It's Thursday night. It's Thursday night football. And I've got a same gamer for all of you out there. And I know what you're thinking. You said Thursday night unders. You said you would never do Thursday night overs again. And I need you all to know that I don't have to do the things that I say. Okay? I have free will, and I have the ability to change my mind, and I've changed my mind. Because tonight, I'm going with the Lions. I'm going with the over 45.5, and I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown because his name is fun to say. 70 receiving yards or more at plus 425. And if you are just tuning in, you missed this, but we're going to do these bets in ascending order of payout potential. So you are not missing anything. That the lowest payout potential I have is plus 425. So to recap, I've got the Lions, I've got the over 45.5, and I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, 70 or more receiving yards at plus 425. Bren, back to you.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm liking this guy. He won me money week 1 against the Chiefs. I'm going to take him on the other side, which is a parlay anytime TD St. Brown, Eagles money line, and the Miami Bills over. So it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. You got a couple different games in the mix. You can get your Thursday night in there. I was thinking about throwing a Monday night in there. I didn't. This is for plus 450. So we've got the Miami game, Miami Bills over, which I think is easy money. Eagles money line. They're not slowing down anytime soon. I know it's a classic, matchup, but come on. It's the Eagles all the way. And St. Brown anytime TD plus 450.
Yeah, I mean, it's fire. I'm gonna see your 450, and I'm gonna raise you plus 568 because I got the Lions -2. God, I'm heavy on the Lions. I got the Lions -2. I am fading the public who have put 88% of bets and 82% of money on the Miami Dolphins to go into Buffalo and cover a 2.5-point line. If we know anything about the public, it's that they're morons.
That's true.
Look at our last two presidents. I didn't say it. You did. I'm fading the public. Give me Bills -2.5. Give me Vikings -3.5. I'm not scared of a trap line there. Could they win by a field goal? Maybe. Should they beat the brakes off the Panthers? Yeah, they should. I don't care if it's in Carolina. I'm very confident in these. And when I say this, I want you all to know I realize my week could be over at the end of tonight. Okay. I get that. But that's how confident I am in my Detroit Lions. Okay. Detroit Lions -2, Bills -2.5, Vikings -3.5. It's a parlay and it's +568. Run back to you.
I'll raise you about like 75 more. I'm going a 4-game parlay, all money lines. I'm taking Dolphins. I'm confident in my Dolphins, just as you are in the Lions. I really do think that they're going to pull this out. I've also got a couple season-long bets riding on the fact that I do think they're going to take the AFC. So I'm confident in the Dolphins, taking Dolphins money line, Chiefs money line. That's a no-brainer. They're going to blow the Jets off the map. Seahawks money line, because I really am liking what I'm seeing from the Seahawks team. I love Geno Smith. I love what he's doing on the sidelines when they're down and out. It's exactly the opposite of what the Dirt Cowboys are doing on the sidelines when they are down and out. I believe in Pete Carroll. I really like what they've got going on. I'm taking Seahawks money line, Eagles money line, +507. Again, I think this one's easy money. You know what happens when you say that, though? It tends to flip on itself. I did not know that the majority of the public is taking the Dolphins this week.
88%, actually.
I hate that, but I'm still confident. I hope that they bring out Waddle. I hope that they bring out Jalen Ramsey. I think that would make for an amazing matchup, a really good football game, but take it or leave it. +507, 4-game parlay.
The one thing about putting up 70 points in a game is you give a team like the Bills a lot of film to watch. I don't know how many more plays you have. They might have run 100 plays. I don't know. I didn't count the plays, but like, how many more plays do you have? You pretty much put everything you have on film.
Yeah,
that is
actually,
short-sighted to me. That's short-sighted to me.
That's a good point, but to your original point earlier that you made, which was also, not a bad point relating to the Broncos being terrible. You're putting all of that on tape, but you're putting it on tape for 2 players. You've got a lot more to work with.
You've got a lot more to work with. You absolutely do. But I guess I'm just thinking more from a scheme perspective. Like, you can swap out the players, you can change, but your scheme essentially is now on film, and it's on film a lot, right?
Yeah.
And situationally, they can see what you were doing and when you needed a big play, which way you went. Like, there's a whole team of nerds somewhere in Buffalo just dissecting that entire game. And, we're on opposite sides of it. We'll see. One of us is going to win again. This one I think you like, actually. I think you like this one. Oh, no, you're on the Browns. Never mind. Well, you do like the Seahawks money line, right?
I do.
You like the Seahawks money line?
I do.
I love the Steelers money line. I like the Steelers and the Texans under 42 for the same reason I like the Texans team total under 20.5. Mm-hmm. I don't think they score 13 points. I think this is a 3 field goal game. I'd be surprised if the Texans get into double digits. This is a 3 field goal game for the Texans for me. And I think I'm still not sold on the Steelers offense, but their defense is outstanding. So I love the under at 42.
Yep.
And my anchor is Ravens money line. I do not trust the Browns. I don't care that it's at home. The Ravens were unhealthy last week. They didn't look great, but I am a believer in back against the wall mentality, and I'm a believer in who's the better quarterback. And I understand at this particular point, both have kind of been underwhelming, but I think we see a Ravens team that needs a win. Again, divisional game, pretty much flip a coin. You're going to give me plus money on the Ravens. I'm taking it. It's Ravens money line. It's Seahawks money line. It's Steelers money line. And it's the Steelers, Texans under 42. And it's plus 1,316. Bad year, real good price.
Wow. So you know what? For some of our first time bettors that are listening to this and looking for some quick wins, for some of our girlies that are looking for, a thread the needle bet, I actually don't hate this. And the reason being is
throw $10 on it.
Yeah, throw $10. That's a quick $131. The reason that I like this is because this coincides with my betting style, which is go huge or just don't do it at all. And
stay home.
I think with some of these, what we're going to start to see in this pod, and especially as the season unfolds, now we're getting in a rhythm. Football's been back for a month. We can see, where consistency lies. And don't get me wrong, you don't usually want to bet with consistency, but you can take some pieces of different games and get a really big payout. Just as you don't trust the Browns, I just don't trust the Ravens. And I want to trust them so badly because so many of my friends are diehard Ravens fans. And, they rooted for me. It is, but they're all from Baltimore. So it's,
that's also weird.
They rooted for me when Tampa was on top. It feels only right to give them that same love back, but I just can't do it. And I got to say, if you listened last week and you betted with me last week, I predicted that the Ravens were going to fall off. We'll get to that in the live alert recap, but I said it here. I said they are not healthy. They can't keep their starting lineup healthy. I don't care if it's Gardner Minshew. I don't care if it's whoever else they've got back there in the Colts QB room. I didn't see them winning this game and that game last week. And I don't know.
It was the Red Rifle. It was the Red Rifle.
Deshaun Watson looked the best that he has in the last 3 weeks last week. And I do agree that the Ravens tend to pull it together when they are down and out, but do they have anyone coming back that's injured this week?
So left tackle's back in play as well. That's good. Yeah, as well as I forget his name, but he's their second leading pass rusher. So what I believe is going to happen is that Deshaun's going to, again, have some false confidence and try to Deshaun, and the Ravens are going to put a lot of pressure on him. And I have yet to see him perform under pressure.
Yeah, he does perform well under pressure, I will say. Usually.
Yeah, so we'll see how this all works out and how it all shakes out. But that's our track bets for week 4. They're in. They're recorded. We have to just hope that they hit now, because if we go over again as a pod, I think people are going to start giving us the business. Okay. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board here, or we're going to need to start hitting bets. And I think it's in both of our best interests to hit some bets. So before we get to the live alert, it's been about 20 minutes since we talked about Taylor Swift. So we'll hop back into that. It is our football cheat sheet time. Okay, this is the segment where, and this is a very important segment because this week we probably have a lot of new NFL fans, and they're looking for some things to say. And we're going to give you a couple things to say right now. Pren, this is perfect. Tee it up.
Football cheat sheet. So the girls are getting into football. I love it. I understand it. I'm here for you. And there's this really funny TikTok trend right now. Dee, I don't know if you've seen this on the internet at all, but it's women secretly recording their boyfriend or taking screenshots of their text saying
and telling them that they put.
Yeah. I just love that Taylor Swift has put Travis Kelce on the map. And I gotta say, I will give it to the chicks, because it does seem like they do know who Travis Kelce is, but they're just, trying to give their boyfriends or significant others the business, and it's working. Yeah. So flip it on its head. Andy Reid post game said that he was the one that set the two of them up, and impress your boy. Just hit him with Andy Reid put Taylor Swift on the map. And
I think I should film someone's response to that, because that's borderline. You're getting your face clawed. That's a potential freak out scenario.
Well, and then you can reveal if your boyfriend's a Swiftie, because your boyfriend will be like, "What are you talking about? Taylor Swift is the greatest artist of all time." He'll look confused because he'll be like, "Hold up, you know who Andy Reid is?" He'll think that you're paying attention to the game. He'll think that you're paying attention to the Chiefs outside of the Taylor clout. Jackson Mahomes, still somewhere boxed off, locked in a room in a cage. So Andy Reid.
So actually might be though. Actually may go to jail. Legitimately might go to jail.
No, legit. Did you see the video of him like forcing himself on some lady in a club?
He's
such a piece of work.
Kid's an absolute dirtbag.
You can double down on the Andy Reid put Taylor Swift on the map with a sub bullet of Brittany Mahomes is real jealous right now, or something. Some slight at Brittany. Throw her in there.
I haven't seen her around much, and I'm going to actually take this one step further. A cool thing to say would be, I can't believe Taylor Swift and Andy Reid are dating. That's going to really throw a lot of people for a loop. It's topical. It still kind of shows your innocence.
Yeah.
It's very funny, and it paints a really, really interesting image. Which is the thing that I like about it.
I'm going to take it even one step further, which is already a little bit of an internet trend, but it's not as prevalent as some of the other Swiftie Kelsey talk. For the girls, so Jason Kelce, who is Travis Kelce's brother, plays defense for the Eagles.
No, plays center for the Eagles.
Oh, he's center? I thought
he's the center.
Okay. Then I'm getting schooled on my own podcast. Center for the Eagles. They've also got a player with the last name of Swift, and they were photographed on the sideline standing next to each other. So it says like Kelsey and Swift. And like there were some people that are posting the screenshot of it just being like, you mean to tell me these two are hooking up? Like, like you can just like take it even further and say, I can't believe that the NFL has its first openly gay relationship on the Eagles team.
Same
Jason
team.
Jason Kelce and Swift.
Yeah, that's fire. I promise you, we're only going to talk about Taylor Swift about 10 more times in this podcast. So you guys just hold tight. Now, mine's a little less funny this week, and a little bit more fact driven. I've said it here before, but this is the quote. If you're trying to get if you're dating a sports bettor, an NFL sports bettor, and you want to give him some advice, this is it right here. Lots of divisional shit fights this week. I'm on the unders. It's classic because it's true. It's happening this week. There are a lot of divisional games. They will be shit fights. Weather unpredictable as it always is in October. I'm on a lot of unders. I know none of them made their way. Well, only one of them made their way into my tracked bets. But just so you guys know, if you think the only 3 bets I make are the ones that are tracked, you're out of your goddamn mind. I can't even keep track. Every week when we're supposed to recap our tracked bets, I can't because I have to go through my book, and it's a literal, I don't know what I have more of. Settled bets or Instagram hidden DMs. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just an endless scroll. But that's my piece of advice for the week. Lots of divisional shit fights. I'm on the unders. That's your football cheat sheet. We need to move along, though, because this is the most profitable portion of this podcast, mainly only because I went lights out in week 1. But it's still the most profitable portion. I'm talking about the live alert, and it's happening right now. I'm back. You're back. We're back, and it's live alert time. Didn't do so hot last week. Chased the Titans. Chased them again. I was a golden retriever hunting my tail. Never did quite get them. They got blown out by the lowly Browns, and I looked like a dumbass. So that live alert did not hit. That was the only one that I got to because the Patriots Never got to plus 3.5. So that was kind of a no bet for me, but that's what happens with the live alert. If it doesn't happen, you don't do it, right? That's the beauty of the event. Ashley, you were in the mix a little bit with the live alert.
Yeah,
I
did pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a situation where I believe you were pounding the under in the Steelers game.
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit of what happened with the Steelers game. Like DD, I also place a lot of bets outside of the pod. A lot of bets day of, moments before kickoff. I placed a Steelers money line, a Steelers money line total game under parlay. That the payout was actually pretty big for only a two-way parlay. Watching very intently, I put a lot of money on it. I actually had to course correct for my boyfriend, who we share a betting account. He placed a ridiculous bet while I was asleep. He did not consult me. He did not consult me, only to be woken up. Why didn't you tell me not to place this bet? And I'm like, God damn it, I've got to right your wrongs, which is what we did. We went in on this bet together. We were biting our nails the whole time. And we haven't talked about, we've briefly touched on hedging on this podcast. Maybe we'll get more into it next week. Mm-hmm. But that over was looking like, or the under was looking like maybe it wasn't going to stay the under. So we hedged and we bet the over. When we initially placed the bet, the line was at 43. Then we hedged during the third quarter on 40.5. That hit and it stayed within the under. So I got my payout on the initial bet, and the over with the line change hit as well. Yeah, which is great. That's what you want.
We call threading the needle.
Threading the needle, baby. Took the words out of my mouth. So that was fun. That way, we got in the positive. I was able to right his wrongs. That just goes to show, never trust the Cowboys, because that's what he did, and look what happened. That was my big live alert for the week that I cashed in on. Again, if you listened to me with the Ravens last week, you probably cashed out too. It wasn't a bet I actually placed because I fell asleep. But
you got a couple this week though, and they're kind of what looks like contingent upon two quarterbacks that you're real high on.
Yep. Again, Jameis revenge. With my live alerts, I just like to watch the lines. And if I see a team gain momentum that is losing, I like to hammer the money line. That's what I'm going to do with Jameis. If the Bucs are up, Jameis is heating up. He's eating the W's. He's getting fired up. He's doing his thing. I'm hammering Saints money line. I want the Saints to win anyways, and I think they're going to win. But if the game unfolds and it doesn't seem to be going that way, I'm still confident that they'll pull it out. It's a classic matchup. It'll be a good game to watch anyways. I'm also going to hammer the Browns team over if Watson is able to continue to build on his momentum that he kicked off with last week.
Yeah, him to Cooper. Watson and Cooper is one to watch, because if they get cooking early, they're going to score a lot of points. So I actually really like this as a live alert. Mm-hmm. It's not one that you see often on live alert, which is a singular team total going over.
Yeah.
But I can see this happening in this game for several reasons. The main one being exactly what you've talked about, which is that Watson's extremely streaky. Yeah. So if you see him kind of build on last week's performance, and that connection between him and Cooper is there, because that's truly hit or miss. He can miss him by 5 yards, or he can put it right in the helmet, and Cooper's running after the catch. Yeah. So if that does happen, I like the over here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got two for us. They're both money lines. They're relatively conservative. They're both teams that love to play in a close game, and they're both teams that are going to be down at some point in their games. That's the Lions and the Seahawks. I like the Lions at plus 140. As the favorite, I typically will go money line plus 150. I think 140 is a little closer. I know it seems like a marginal difference, but when you're using large units, those 10 points matter.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Lions will get to plus 150 if they go down a touchdown. They should definitely get to plus 140. So there's my cutoff for that game at plus 140 if Green Bay scores first tonight. And that could very likely happen. Either get the ball, they go down and score, or we see a punt or a missed field goal, they go down and score. There's things that can happen there. But we've also seen Green Bay have a scoreless half against the Saints, who's a good defense, but they're not outstanding. So I like Detroit in a comeback game. They had a lot of experience in that position last year. They had a lot of comeback wins. I can see it happening tonight in Lambeau. Live alert, Lions, plus 140. Seahawks, little higher on the Seahawks here at plus 150. This is essentially a pick 'em. It's a 1-point line. I don't know how the Giants are favored. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
It's very bizarre. The Seahawks look good. I completely agree with your point, Ashley, that we have got a leader, a bona fide leader in Geno Smith on the sideline, picking his teammates up, giving them the things that they need when they're down. And so I absolutely love the Seahawks at plus 150 this week. If the Giants happen to score early, they will blow it. Those are our live alerts. And I don't know about you, but I'm very hungry. So let's talk girl dinner. Tell me what to do. Okay, let's chat about it because we were right there last week.
So close.
We were right there. Both of us were right there. The girl dinner bet that I got fucked on was the Detroit game over. Falcons score 6 points. That was absolute trash. But they screwed me. And I went 5 for 6. So that's not great, but I am going back to the well with a teaser. It's going to be a little bit more conservative this time for my girl dinner bet of the week. And it is as follows. Seahawks plus 7.5. Packers plus 8.5. I know I'm trying to thread the needle. I do think Detroit wins, but I think they win by a single score. I really like getting through a lot of key numbers of 6, 7, and 8 with a plus 8.5 line for the Packers. Give me the Ravens plus 9. Same logic there. They may not win the game, although I do think they will. If they do lose, it won't be by 2 scores. And the Commanders in a divisional shit fight to stay inside of 3 scores, 14.5. Philly's good. They're not that good. Sam Howell will throw picks, but he'll also throw touchdowns. I think there's points scored in that game. Commanders plus 14.5 should be free. It's a 6.5-point 4-way teaser at plus 200. Seahawks, Packers, Ravens, Commanders. Tease them up. Take the money. Girl dinner. Baby! Ashley, what's in the fridge?
So my girl dinner bet last week spoiled. It went bad. It was moldy. I thought this was going to be a trap game for the Chiefs. I didn't know Taylor Swift was going to be in attendance. If I did know that, I would have turned that around real quick. I think the Bears might be the worst team in the NFL officially after last week. My girl dinner bet imploded. But this week we're doing a little bit of a mixed bag, which is very much keeping the tone with girl dinner bet. You got a little bit of everything on your plate. I've got Tariq anytime touchdown. I think that's a no-brainer. I've got a James Cook anytime touchdown. He is going to explode in the second half of the season. I guarantee it. I talked about this episode 1. I think that he's going to have at least 1, if not 2 touchdowns this week. So I've got Tariq anytime, James, not Dalvin, James Cook anytime. I've got Trevor Lawrence passing over 255. I know it's in England, but again, I think he needs a redemption win. I think he needs a redemption game. So I've got the passing over and KC handicap win. Even though they don't need the handicap, I'm throwing it in anyways at plus 1150.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be Tyreek, James Cook, Trevor Lawrence over passing yards. Tyreek, James Cook, anytime touchdown. Trevor Lawrence over 225. KC minus 9.5 at plus 1150. It's a girl dinner bet if I've ever seen one. Let's recap where we are. The totals are dropping. I'm going to be honest with you guys there. I believe I was minus 500 last week. I believe you were minus 400 last week. So, my balance goes down, and that should put me Still in the black, but not by much. This is going to be a big bounce back week. Last week wasn't great. I am in the black, but only by 1.5 units at plus 150 after back-to-back over weeks. What they say in the business is we are due. Ashley also with a significant loss of 4 units at minus 400, which is going to put her season ledger in a pretty dark place at minus 4.6 units for a total loss of $461.50. Now, we can dwell on the things that don't go our way, or we can use the power of positive thinking, and we can put into play these giant parlays that will fatten your pockets and have you eating filet mignon and scallops on Sunday night at your favorite restaurant. That's why we are here, okay? I'm Devin Walker.
I'm Ashley Pren.
You all are wonderful, and this has been episode 4 of the Betsies podcast. We'll see you next time.